Hello again, Anthony Lopez here to talk to you about something a little different than I'm normally used to. Instead of going on about some mathematical problem, today I would like to talk about research. Specifically, I'd like to talk about what research has to say about digital media and literacy. The reason why I talk about this is because today we are in an age where technology is everywhere, and I want to know what's the best way to use this technology at hand. My goal is to find the reasons for implementation into the classroom and figure out what the positive and the negative implications are of using technology in everyday classroom use. From my research, I have found that there are 7 aspects that I'd like to cover when talking about digital media and literacy. First, I want to talk about becoming literate with technology. Second, I want to talk about providing technology in school. Third, I want to talk about using technology when writing specifically. Fourth, I want to talk about teaching to actually use the technology. Fifth, I want to talk about effectiveness in the classroom. Sixth, I want to talk about the digital gap that is created. And seventh, I want to talk about the implications of using technology in the classroom. The idea behind becoming literate has changed over the years. Actually, Fuzzer-Haro and Steinkuhler in 2009 have found that a view of literacy that merely addresses the print-based aspect of text fails to capture the complexity of literacy. Therefore, as a society, we must include digital technology into literacy. However, not only do we need to use technology to become literate, but we also need to become literate through using technology. Thus, there is a need for technology to become present in the schools. Kastick in 2005 goes as far as stating that not providing opportunities in school to navigate new technologies and multiple multimodal text is no longer an option. It is up to us to provide both instruction and opportunity for all students to develop these essential skills for reading, writing, and communicating in the digital age. It is then imperative that schools have different modes of technology so that students can find and use the technology that will best be of service to themselves. I found in my research a specific example of how to implement technology into literacy through the writing process. This can be seen in 2 ways: the actual writing and the different modes of application. The actual writing can be done through using a word processor or using the cloud. However, the different modes of application include using writing for blogging, the writing websites, creating ebooks, and forming digital stories. As I have hinted at, people must become literate with technology, meaning schools cannot simply supply technology. Both teachers and students must be given time to become proficient with the technology that is at hand. Ellery in 2013 has found that the reason why it is imperative that students become proficient in using technology is because the students use technology daily and will continue to use technology daily. Therefore, students should know how best to use the things that they are going to encounter on a daily basis. With all said and done, it is still critical to speak about the effectiveness of using technology. Online learning, according to Fuller, has been demonstrated to be almost as effective as more traditional methods, and evidence shows that blending the two together produces better results than either type of teaching alone. Thus, research shows that when teachers implement technologies that students use correctly, then they will produce better results. However, it does matter how one actually uses the technology. Fuller also says that technology should be used to accomplish specific goals for education, not simply as something to be attained for itself. meaning it is better to have technology as a tool for learning than used solely for drilling students. So again, technology in and of itself may not be beneficial for learning. It's only when the technology is applied well that it does produce great effects. The last point I'd like to cover is the fact of reality. What I've been talking about all so far is things that we want to do, things that, some research has said, but what about reality? Well, in reality, many teachers are not proficient at technology being used in the classroom, while students may or may not know more than the teacher. One thing that I always think about is Facebook. Most likely more students could be on Facebook than teachers, especially if the teachers are from an older generation. I've heard more about the Instagram and things like that, where students these days are all about Vine and Instagram, and teachers aren't a part of that. So if they wanted to try and use those things in the education, the students know more than the teacher do. Therefore, a digital gap has been formed. This gap creates tension, as I said with Vine and Instagram, between teachers and students, because usually if the students know more than the teacher, then they think that what they're learning is pointless. They're basically undermining the teacher's knowledge of the technology because they know more, or just the teacher simply does not know what they're doing. And so therefore, we have to go back to that point I said before, teachers must be proficient. After doing all the research I have found that there are 3 implications that I'd like to address. First off, as I have said many times, teachers need to become proficient with technology. Therefore, at some point in time, the teachers need to be given time to be trained to use the technology. One of the best ways this can be done is for the schools to actually do workshops where people that are proficient with different technologies come in to teach the teachers. Otherwise, we're asking teachers to be able to learn this by themselves. How then do we know that they're truly proficient in it? A second implication would be that schools must give time in school, during school, for the students to become proficient. Once again, as I said before, not only teachers need to be proficient, but we need the students to become proficient because they're going to be using technology daily. Now, this can be done in workshops the same as I said with teachers, or we can have the teachers actually teaching the students. The idea is the schools can choose which is better, whether we have a workshop where everybody goes to learn, or a teacher that's maybe the best at a certain technology takes time out of their class to teach. However, taking time out of class means that we need somehow to make up for that class time. So it's not perfect, but I just know that time needs to be taken for students to become proficient. My third implication would be that technology takes time. Teachers that want to use technology that maybe haven't before need to realize that writing a lesson plan is, they know it's semi-difficult. It takes time. However, incorporating technology takes even more time because it's something extra. You still have to do your lesson plans. You still have to cover certain material, but now you have to create a PowerPoint, or now you have to create a presentation or a podcast. So that takes time. Most of the time that they're going to use for this is their free time, because you only have one planning period in a day. You can't create umpteen PowerPoints and presentations and podcasts one little class time. You have to take it out of your own free time. So my suggestion is, technology is awesome, but you only have so much time in a day, so you can only create so much technology for teaching. In conclusion, Technology is a great tool to be used in the classroom. It can be very effective and beneficial to students. However, teachers must know how to use technology properly and must use it as effective as possible. Meaning, teachers must become proficient with technology, and they must not simply drill with the technology, but use it for the sake of another higher goal. This concludes my research on digital media and literacy. Hopefully you learned a thing or two. Till next time.